If you're struggling under the weight of a lot of debt, you might have considered using Americor's debt relief program. I'm going to tell you about how Americor's debt relief programs work, the things you should look out for, and what could go wrong. How does Americor debt relief work? If you're not familiar with the idea of debt settlement programs, this might come as something of a shock to you, so buckle up. It starts with deciding what debts to be included in the settlement plan. Americor will want to include all of your unsecured consumer debt into the settlement agreement because they are paid based on the total debt in the settlement plan. So let's say you decide to include 3 credit cards and a personal loan. After that, you determine how much you can afford to put aside every month on those debts. Of course, the first place to look is what you are currently paying on the monthly payments of those debts. So you might end up with an amount more or less than that total. And this is where things get really interesting. You will no longer send your creditors your monthly payments. Instead, you will put that money into a separate bank account which Americor controls because you give them power of attorney over your finances. Americor assumes responsibility to manage those debts. At this point, some people are relieved that they have moved from 4 monthly payments to a single monthly payment. It feels good to not have those debts hanging over them anymore. Unfortunately, that is just an illusion. While you are making your payments to the bank account, Americor is not making monthly payments. Yes, you heard that right. Americor is not making your monthly payments to the debt. This is the heart of the plan. Every one of those debts that you include in the settlement plan will be late and eventually fall into delinquency. Neither you nor Americor will tell your creditors what's happening. They will just stop getting payments. Meanwhile, the bank account where you are sending your payments continues to grow. When Americor feels like there's enough money in there, they will pick one of the lenders to open a negotiation to settle the debt. What does that mean? Well, in short, they will essentially offer that lender a sum of money to settle the debt for less than you currently owe. If the lender accepts, they will most likely create a structured settlement where you will be required to make a series of payments over a set period of time. Missing a payment means that the settlement is rejected and you're back to owing the full amount. Americor will manage those payments. In theory, they continue this process until they have convinced each of your creditors that some money is better than no money. At that point, you are debt-free. Sounds good, right? What could go wrong? Well, a lot, actually. First, as you can well imagine, this process completely and utterly trashes your credit score. If you already had a terrible score, you probably aren't out much. But it will not be unusual for you to find that the process leaves your credit score in the 400s or low 500s, and it is likely to stay there for years. Remember that the settlement process can take 2 to 4 years, and during that time, your credit score is taking a repeated and consistent beating because of the defaults and debts falling into collections. You will not have a chance to even begin rebuilding your credit until the entire process is completed. And then, you could only start improving your credit if you can show responsible use of credit. And who would give you credit at that point? The trashing of your credit score is guaranteed to happen. There is no way to avoid that. What isn't guaranteed is that the creditors will even negotiate with you. Americor tends to start with your biggest debts. Why? Because by law, they can only take their fee when the debt is settled. So they are going to go for the biggest whales first. But there's a simple problem with that approach. There is a very real possibility that one or more of your creditors will actually sue you for the debt. It might have been better for you to have settled the smaller debts so you had fewer potential lawsuits to contend with, or starting with the companies that have a policy of suing people for delinquent debt. You might find yourself paraded in front of a judge several times for different lawsuits. The creditors are going to try to garnish your wages or put pressure on you to pay. During this legal process, Americor will not be by your side. They are very clear about the fact that they offer no legal services. So you will have to hire your own lawyer or risk a summary judgment that will go entirely in the creditor's favor. Maybe even that is worth the trouble if Americor can cut your debts in half. Then again, probably not. The numbers are troubling. On their website, Americor boasts about people that have settled for up to 50% off the total loan amount. Of course, those results are not guaranteed, but even if you do see those results, you need to keep in mind that Americor's primary fee is 25% of the total amount of debt in your settlement agreement. So let's say that you owed $10,000 and Americor got the lender to settle for $5,000. You would pay your creditor $5,000 and you would pay Americor their fee of $2,500. Your savings is actually only $2,500. There are examples of people who actually saved no money after they paid Americor's fee. I have some more bad news though. You don't even save all of the $2,500. There might be other fees that are charged along the way. Americor is not clear about whether there are other fees, but I have read from some reviews that they might have a setup fee, a monthly maintenance fee, an escrow fee, and maybe even a balance transfer fee. I reached out to Americor to see if I could get clarification on their fees, but by the time of this filming, they had not responded. Even if there are no other fees, there's still another reason why you won't save as much as you think, and this reason might surprise you. In my example, Americor negotiated your debt down to $5,000, even though you owed $10,000. Well, the IRS considers the $5,000 discount on your debt as regular income. They figure your creditors gave you $5,000. So you will be paying income taxes on the $5,000 you saved, even if you lost most of that to Americor fees. So what happens when you are 2 or 3 years into this process and the last creditor absolutely refuses to settle? They are calling you at work for their money and filing suit against you. It looks increasingly like they will not play ball. Unfortunately, you don't have the money to pay them, or money for an attorney, or your credit is trash, so you can't find another lender that will allow you to start fresh. This is where Americor comes to the rescue? That's probably not the right word. They introduce you to the lending company that they own called Credit 9 to help you out with this jam. They give you a loan so that you can get that creditor off your back and avoid legal proceedings. The interest rate will be over 25%, and there will be an origination fee on top of that. So it's possible you now traded your credit card debt for a worse credit score and a personal loan with a higher interest rate. If you look at Americor's reviews, you might have some questions. On Trustpilot, they look like they have overwhelmingly positive reviews. Trustpilot is an independent company, but Americor invites their customers to review them on Trustpilot. Companies aren't stupid. They ask their customers to review them when the customer is most likely to be happy. Even after reviewing hundreds of reviews, I struggle to find any positive reviews from customers at the end of their experience with Americor. Does that mean no customers were satisfied? Of course not. But it does mean that we have reason to be skeptical. So what would I recommend? Clearly, you can tell I'm not convinced that Americor will be good for you. They might alleviate stress in the short term, but they might just be pushing that stress down the road. So if you are struggling with debt, but Americor is not the way to solve the problem, what should you do? The first thing you should do is figure out if you can get a debt consolidation loan that will lower your overall interest rate. If you can, more of the same monthly payment could go to principal. This will help you get out of debt faster. But remember, you need to shop around to make sure that you're getting the best offer you can get. We've tried to make this easy at the Yukon Project. You can apply to check your rate with up to 40 lenders at once, and they all use a soft credit pull, so applying won't affect your credit. I'll put a link to our site in the description below. If you can't lower your interest rate and you can't scrape together more money each month to pay off your debts, you might look to settle your debts as a last resort. Even then, I would look to a nonprofit debt relief organization to help you out. Or you could do the negotiation strategy that Americor uses and do it yourself. It probably never makes much sense to use Americor. If you have any questions about debt settlement, debt consolidation, or debt relief, leave a comment below. And if you found this video useful or interesting, please consider subscribing to our channel. Thanks for watching.